I hate to break it to Simon Holmes-a-Court and the Teals and the Airhead Greens and Chris Bowen and all the other backers of solar, wind and hydro power, but you've backed the wrong horse, and Aussies are beginning to wake up to the fact. It seems support for nuclear power is on the rise. People realise that it's proven, tested, affordable and efficient, and it's the best choice if we're truly concerned about CO2 levels in the atmosphere causing climate change, especially for a country like Australia that's so rich in the resources needed for nuclear. Jason Morrison, who's been doing a terrific job filling in for Alan Jones the past couple of weeks here on ADH TV, had an excellent segment on the show on Wednesday night that I highly recommend checking out, in which he revealed some pretty interesting polling data.
People are not going to cop crap when they can barely survive. It doesn't mean the battle is won, far from it, but it does mean we are turning a bit of a corner here. I want to show you something. This is some polling from the very left-leaning union strategy machine called Essential Media. They're an organisation that advises the union movement, the Labor Party on a whole lot of things. And they constantly run social polling that flows into the hearts and minds of senior figures in the Labor Party. And don't think for a matter that this is just another poll. These are the sort of people who help put policy together. And I think what this polling is going to show is that Australians are waking up. Have a look. After more than a decade of paying far too much for anything, suddenly we get a poll that says, do you support nuclear power? Guess what? The trend is yes. 50% of people in that poll, the top line, support the idea or don't really care. There's only 33%, the red line below it, that actually oppose. That blue line, 50%, is huge. And that it is growing and going is telling us that there is something going on in the community, that people are actually saying, you know what, risk versus reward, cheap power versus the risk of nuclear. I don't think the risk's that sufficient. Let's give it a go. And 50% of people are there, and there's a whole lot of people that actually don't care, and there's a third that think we should not go anywhere near it. So nuclear is demonised by dimwits like Chris Bowen. That's what you're dealing with, Chris. Wake up. Australians are waiting. Now, they'll say it's all those right-wing voters. Not true. 43% are Labor voters. 40% are Greens voters. I'm not kidding. This is the essential polling. They support nuclear power. Let's move on. Another graph here. I wonder how that went down in Chris Bowen's office. Probably the same way when they saw this one we showed you yesterday, just really quickly. This is a graph that tells us that people have had enough of doing things for the sake of doing things for climate change.